Namaskar. The topic of discussion in this module is on aquatic ecosystems, the freshwater types. An ecosystem is a biological environment consisting of both biotic and abiotic components. All the organisms living in a particular area may interact with the non-living components of the environment such as air, soil, water and sunlight. Ecosystems are classified into water based aquatic ecosystems and land based terrestrial ecosystem categories. Based on the quality of water involved, the aquatic ecosystems are further classified into freshwater and marine water types. Freshwater ecosystems are a subset of Earth's aquatic ecosystems. They include lakes and ponds, rivers, streams and springs and wetlands. They can be contrasted with marine ecosystems with reference to the higher level of salt content in the water masses. Freshwater habitats can be classified into different types by different factors including temperature, light penetration and vegetation. The freshwater ecosystems are generally classified into two major groups as lentic and lotic ecosystems. The term lentic ecosystem is given to standing water bodies or still water bodies. The lentic ecosystem includes all standing water bodies like lakes, ponds, swamps or bogs. The term lotic ecosystem is given to the flowing water bodies. The lotic ecosystems include all flowing water bodies like rivers, springs and creeks. The subject of study of freshwater ecosystems is known as limnology. Almost all ecological factors like temperature, light, pH, dissolved gases, dissolved salts in water, turbidity, alkalinity, depth and aerial distribution, all of these parameters play an active role in controlling the habitat of aquatic ecosystems. Hence, it is necessary to study the freshwater ecosystems in detail. The following aspects are highlighted in this module: river ecosystem, ecological factors of rivers, life along the rivers, lake ecosystems, ecological factors of lakes and the life in lakes. Let us see the first part of river ecosystems. Water is an essential component of all life. Surface water resources are the mostly preferred locations for life settlements. Most of the human civilizations were originated near water courses, especially along the major rivers. A river is a large natural course of flowing water obtained from precipitation. The surface water moves down the slope due to the action of gravity. Streams, their tributaries, brooks and creeks and springs are the different types of water courses classified based on their dimension and distribution. A river water is always on the move. Every river has its own longitudinal profile and different cross sections. The longitudinal profile indicates the nature of slope existing at different places and at different levels of the rivers. The cross section of a river varies from headwater zone to the mouth zone. These are called as river valleys, which may be ranging from sharp canyons and gorges to wider flat streams nearer to the delta. The velocity of water flowing in a stream is not uniform along the longitudinal profile and also within their cross sections. A river is a powerful geological agent. It has the capacity to erode, transport and deposit the sediments. These are called as river alluvium. The alluvial deposits, clay and silt of a river are the materials preferred for different activities. A river may be called as major, medium and minor river based on its catchment area, number and length of the streams and their tributaries, stages of development and the discharge of water. A river may be called as a perennial river when there is continuous flow of water throughout the year. A river is called as an intermittent river when the flow is seasonal. A river is called as an ephemeral river when the flow is occasional or rare. The following are the terms used to denote the small portions of rivers. Pool is a segment where the water is deeper and moving slowly. Riffle is a segment where the flow is shallower and more turbulent. Headwater in a river is the point of origin of the streams. Channel is the river course developed by constant erosion. Floodplain is the flat land existing on either side of the stream that are subjected to seasonal flooding. The confluence of a river is called as the mouth. This is the point at which the stream discharges all its load into the sea or other static body of water. A flowing river water carries enormous amounts of salts in solution form and sediments in suspension form. It also rolls up a lot of bed load along the bottom of the river. The water flowing through a river is called as its discharge. The volume and velocity of river discharge depends on several geomorphic factors. The suspended and bed load sediments carried along with other organic matter in the flowing water control the characteristic features of the river ecology. The life along the rivers vary from its head or source to the mouth. They also vary from stream to stream and from country to country. The velocity of flow and force, nature of substratum like alluvium or rock bottom may determine some of the habitat of the river courses. The second aspect is related to the ecological factors of rivers. The ecology of running waters is unique from that of the other aquatic habitats. The following are the unique features of freshwater aquatic ecosystems. The flow is unidirectional in lotic ecosystems. There is a state of continuous physical change in these environments. There is a high degree of spatial and temporal heterogeneity at all scales in these habitats. The variability between lotic system is quite high. The biota is specialized to live with flow conditions. The major biotic factors controlling the lotic ecosystems are the slope and geomorphic conditions, including the nature of substratum, the physicochemical properties of water, temperature, color, alkalinity, pH and dissolved oxygen of water, the flow velocity and quantity of water, the type and amount of suspended and bed load sediments, the turbidity, the thickness of water column and the depth of light penetration, the climatological factors like atmospheric temperature, humidity, sunshine hours, evapotranspiration and the wind. Depending upon the temperature of water, streams are classified into isothermal and non-isothermal streams. In all the rivers, most of the abiotic parameters vary both in space and time. The interface between the land and water and the interface between water and air play a significant role in controlling the environmental conditions of these areas. Let us see the characteristics of lotic adaptations. The animals and plants living in lotic environments have certain specific adaptations. They are subjected to varieties of dynamic environmental factors like water currents, pollutants and the suspended sediments. Lotic habitats are influenced by the effect of continuously moving water, pollution, suspended sediments, floods and other human activities also. The unique characteristics of running water habitat are the establishment of a firm attachment with the substratum. Most of the sponges, diatoms and mosses are examples of these. They live on the wooden logs, stones and rock exposures. The second one is related to the swimmers who are expected to have hooks or suckers to maintain grip over the polished surfaces, and the third one is related to some of them who build their nets around the foot trappings, and the fourth one is related to the organisms like snails and worms which may have sticky bottoms to move along the base. The fifth one is related to the life living in rivers which have a streamlined shape of the body. They may have a body rounded anteriorly and tapering posteriorly. This is for a free swimming habitat against the flowing water currents. The sixth category of animals have a flat body to stay within the cracks and crevices of rocks. The seventh category includes the rheotaxis, which are called as features seen in rivers. This is the capacity or mechanism by which fishes and other animals swim against the currents and rapidly flowing water bodies. This is the resistance capacity of many lotic forms. The eighth category belonging to clinging category, the feature of life in river ecosystems. Some organisms mostly stay closer and nearer to the hard bodies or materials. The ninth category belongs to the life forms in rivers which have the characteristic feature of osmoregulations. Especially the protozoans eliminate excess water through a contractile vacuole which is available with them. For respiration, the life in rivers have respiratory siphons. Typical examples are the mayfly, which are equipped with gills. The productivity is more in streams than standing water bodies. The temperature is not constant along the river courses. Oxygen content is high at all levels due to the flowing water masses. The carbon dioxide occurs as carbonate and bicarbonate salts. Turbidity is a limiting factor of river ecosystems. The pelagic adaptations include both planktonic and nectonic adaptations. Floating and swimming organisms come under these groups. Planktons possess typical body structures. They are bladder-like, needle-like, hair-like structures. Walled bodies and locomotory structures like cilia, appendages, fins and musculature are common to these life forms. Some of them are characterized by lightweight and thin exoskeletons. In rivers, there are varieties of life like fishes, plants, animals and numerous microorganisms that are surviving. We cannot see many of them in the river waters. In addition to this, along the river banks, trees and shrubs grow as shelter belts for the birds and mammals to survive. Many tiny organisms exist in river waters. They play a crucial role in maintaining the food supply for the entire ecosystems. They act as feeders, collectors and grazers. They help in breaking down the plant matter that grows along the streams or the falling materials which are falling from the overhanging vegetation. The river snails work for processing the calcium present in water to build their shells. Some of the trees and plants act as shades for the other life and filter the pollutants and extract the trace metals from the sediments. The predator-prey relationships are more along the river courses. The larger fish eats the smaller ones and the smaller predatory organisms parasitize the larger fish commonly found in rivers. Varieties of local and migratory birds, snakes, frogs, bears and other land animals including cattle and humans all come to the river for drinking water, fishing, preparing food, bathing and washing and also for a healthy living. Every life along rivers produce waste. These become the food materials for some other type of feeder plants and animals to survive. The producers are autotrophs or the green plants which are including the chemosynthetic microorganisms that are present in the rivers. The micro consumers of rivers are the herbivores, predators and parasites. The decomposers or microorganisms are called as micro consumers, which include the worms, bacteria and fungi along the river courses. In a stream ecosystem, food is constantly being produced, consumed and recycled. Pollution and other human activities can change the food source and impair the life cycles of the creatures living in and around these water courses. As all living beings along the river depend on one another, any change in the river ecosystem will affect all others in the same ecosystem as well. The flooding in rivers, dumping of solid waste into rivers, and many other human activities may hamper the normal living conditions of the environment along the river courses. The longitudinal zonation in rivers is an important aspect for river ecosystems. Streams exhibit two habitats as rapid habitat and pool habitat. Hence, the stream organisms are classified into rapid communities and pool communities. The nature of communities existing in rivers depend on the type of the stream bottom and the density of population. The river bottom may be containing sand, pebbles, clay, bedrock or rubble rocks, which may be controlling all these habitats. The rapids community are called as torrential fauna as they are subjected to the turbulence created by the flowing currents. The pools community include the burrowing types which are living along the stream banks or bottoms. A blackfly larva may be considered as a rapid community. A dragonfly nymph is called as a pool community. There is also another zonation existing in the stream communities. The headwater species are different from the deltaic species. The gradational changes in communities are coming due to the changes in temperature, velocity of water flow and the quantity of water including its pH existing in the flowing water. The fourth important aspect is related to the lake ecosystem. A lake is a large standing water body surrounded by land. The formation of lakes, their physico-chemical conditions and the organisms inhabiting within them are studied under the branch of science called as limnology. Lake ecosystem is also called as lacustrine environment. Lakes and reservoirs are more or less closed but mostly dynamic ecosystems. Lake as an ecosystem has several budgets as heat budget, water budget and biomass budget. Lake water and life are subjected to several natural and man-made threats. Lakes involve complex of interrelated mechanical, physical, chemical and biological processes. Lakes are always under the direct influence of rainwater, river water, sedimentation, biomass and productivity of organisms. Lake ecosystems maintain a state of equilibrium with reference to these factors which are seasonally varying. An important feature of lakes is the evaporation of water from its surface. Sedimentation is a regular process in almost all the lakes. The movement of water masses occur in the form of waves, currents, turbulent mixing and wind tides in these lakes. Mostly they are caused by the wind. The waves have an abrasive power and the capacity to cut off the earth materials present along the borders of lakes. The sediments deposited within the lakes are called as lacustrine deposits. Lakes create little worlds of their own. Water plants of all shapes and sizes live under the surface of the lakes. Some of the plants are attached to the lake bottom and others may be floating freely in the lake waters. Vegetation provides the food for the water creatures such as bugs, snails and the fish. Lakes are also the favorite haunts of waterfowls such as ducks, geese, swans, flamingos, egrets, cranes and other animals. The land animals use lakes for drinking water. They also contain food from lakes in the form of fish, birds and plant life. The ecological factors of lakes are very essential features. The stagnant lake water has certain characteristic features with reference to abiotic and biotic factors. the light penetration in lakes depend on the turbidity of water. The water temperature varies with reference to space and time. It also varies with reference to depth. Only the water at the top is exposed to the air. This leads to the decomposition at the bottom. Hence, the dissolved oxygen is relatively low in lake waters than river waters. It may also decrease with reference to depth. The life in lakes, their adaptations and distribution depend on the gradations of oxygen content, light penetration and temperature distribution in lake waters. Considering the depth and area of a lake, 3 distinct ecological zones can be identified in the lakes. They are the littoral zone, the limnatic zone and the profundal zone. The littoral zone is the edge areas of the lake extending from the water surface down up to a depth of 6 to 10 meters. This shallow water zone is inhabited by rooted plants. This zone is further divided into epilimnatic zone and hypolimnatic zones. Epilimnatic zone extends from the water surface up to 6 meters depth and the hypolimnatic zone extends from 6 meters to 10 meters depth. Limnatic zone is the open water zone extending to a depth of up to effective light penetration. This is dominated by the planktons. The profundal zone includes the bottom and the deep water zone beyond the depth of light penetration. It contains the heterotrophs mostly. This zone exists only in lakes and is normally absent in ponds. In these ecosystems, the depth of effective light penetration is called as the compensation level. This is the depth at which photosynthesis just balances respiration. The characteristic life in lakes vary with reference to the depth zones. Life in lakes and their abundance, distribution and diversity are influenced by the stratification and movement of oxygen and the nutrition in the lake water mass. The energy source is the sunlight for the lake life. The light penetration is controlled by the turbidity of water and other factors. Based on light penetration, the lake can be divided into 2 more zones as trophogenic zone and tropholytic zone. The trophogenic zone is almost corresponding to the epilimnion zone, which is dominated by photosynthesis. The tropholytic zone is the lower layer wherein the decomposition is expected to be more active. This zone corresponds to the hypolimnion zone. Based on the ecological factors, lakes are classified into the following 3 types: oligotrophic lakes, eutrophic lakes and dystrophic lakes. Oligotrophic lakes are of very good depths. The water is transparent and the biotic components are poor. The pH of water is low in these lakes. Nitrogen is negligible. Organic contents are poor in these lakes. The deeper layers are rich with biota. The eutrophic lakes are shallow water bodies with rich organic matter and planktons. They also contain enormous biota. Such condition comes when the lake is old. Dystrophic lakes may be deep or shallow water lakes, but rich in humus and poor in carbon dioxide content. The faunal growth is also poor in dystrophic lakes. Let us see the life in lakes. The organisms living in water may be classified into the following types: the surface living organisms, which are called as planktons, whose movements are mostly controlled by the currents; algae, protozoa, rotifers, copepods and cladocera all belong to this group. The animals living at the bottom of water bodies are called as benthos. These are further divided according to the mode of feeding into filter feeders and deposit feeders. Midge larvae, clams and other microscopic organisms thrive as benthic organisms. The third category includes active swimming forms which are called as nectons. Fishes, aquatic insects, water beetles, amphibians, turtles, water snakes, tadpoles of frogs and tilapia live as nectons in these water bodies. The fourth category contain organisms that are attached or clinging to stems and leaves of rooted plants or projected surfaces. These are called as periphytons. Sessile algae, fungi, protozoa, hydra, microcrustacea, rotifera and snails come under this category. The fifth category of organisms are resting and swimming on the surface of water, and these are all called as neustones. Insects, mosquito larvae and some bacteria and algae come under this group. In a lake or a pond ecosystem, most of these aquatic habitat exists. Lake ecosystems are characterized by three adaptations as floating vegetation, submerged vegetation and animal adaptations. The floating plants have poorly developed root systems. To remain afloat, the leaves and stems are filled with air spaces. The upper surface of the leaves is waxy. The floating leaves are larger and broader. The submerged vegetation possess certain modifications for their growth and survival. The leaves lack a cuticle in these mosses. The productivity of a lake or pond ecosystem differs depending upon the depth, nutrients, light penetration, light availability and the biota. In moderately shallow lakes and ponds, light penetration is more. Organic matter and nutrients also accumulate in heavy amounts. In such water bodies, the productivity will always be the highest. The aquatic biodiversity is a primary concept in environmental analysis. Aquatic ecosystems also provide a home to many species of plants and animals. Many of them are the phytoplanktons, zooplanktons, aquatic plants, insects, fish, birds, mammals and others. In summary, aquatic biodiversity includes all unique species and habitats and the interaction between them. They are organized at many levels, from the smallest building blocks of life to the complete ecosystems encompassing several communities, populations, species and genetic categories. It has enormous economic and aesthetic value and is largely responsible for maintaining the overall environment in many places. Humans have long depended on aquatic resources for food, medicines and materials, as well as for the recreational and commercial purposes such as fishing and tourism. Several factors affect the aquatic ecosystems. They are the over exploitation of species, introduction of exotic species, pollution from urban, industrial and agricultural activities, as well as the habitat loss and alteration through damming and diversion of water into other places. All these activities contribute to the declining levels of aquatic biodiversity, especially freshwater ecosystems. It is necessary to adopt certain conservation strategies to protect and conserve this aquatic life and maintain the balance of nature and support the availability of resources for the future generations. Let us protect the freshwater aquatic ecosystems.